Good day, everyone. So far, we've done a lot of things. We've created a container into a storage account from Visual Studio. We've added a blob to a storage account container from Visual Studio. We've also listed out blobs that are in a container in a storage account from Visual Studio. So today, what we intend to do is to download the blob, which is in a storage account in Azure from Visual Studio. So I'll be sharing my screen so that we'll see what we want to download first. So this is the Azure portal. As I said, you always in a storage account, especially when you are dealing with, there are about 4 categories of storage types that you can have um, using storage account. We have the blob storage, queue storage, table storage, and file share. So what we've been doing so far is for the blob storage. And when you are working with the blob storage, as I said earlier on, you work with a container first. It's inside that container that you have your blobs. So these are the 2 blobs that we have in our container. The name of our container is Frankly Your Data. And what I will be downloading, what I intend to download from Visual Studio is this image here, csp.image.png. Okay, so let me go back. I will share now, and this time around I'll be sharing my Visual Studio. Okay, so I believe you can see my screen. So because we've gone through a couple of these, I will not be emphasizing so much on them because it's almost the same thing as what we've been doing previously. We always declare our connection string, container name, and the likes. So what we have here is the connection string, and I've showed you how to get your connection string from the Azure portal. Then our container name, which I showed you from the Azure portal also. Another thing I want to quickly add is that this is not best practice. It's not best practice to be entering your connection string within your code. I'll be showing you a better way to approach this later on. But just because this is for dev purposes, why I am doing it this way. Then we have the local blob, the link to the local blob. So what this really is the parts where I want to store. So I am downloading the blob from Azure portal into my computer. So where I want to store it in my computer, and I'm also giving it a name. So this name can be anything. It does not have to be the name that it is on Azure. You can give it any name. I can give it 123.png. It doesn't matter. However, this next line for the blob name needs to be what you have in Azure, because it will be using this blob name to retrieve it from the storage account container. Then always remember also that, as I said earlier on, you have a storage account, you have a container before you can access your blob. So this first line, this class here, blob service client, which is from azure.storage.blob package, is what we are using to access the storage account. That's why we are entering the connection string as a parameter to this method. So this is our constructor over here. Then we are now using blob container client for the container name. That's why we are passing in the container name as a parameter to this get blob container client method. Before we can now use this container client that was declared here, this object that was declared here to get blob clients. So you can see container client dot get blob clients. and we are passing in the blob name into this. So we first of all work with the have access to the storage account, then we move to the granular layer, the second level, to the container, to blob container client, before we can now come down to the blob client. And afterward, we can now download our blob into and using the local blob as our path, the earlier declared path. Then we can just give a console write line that we've downloaded our blob. So I'll be running this program and we'll see. So before I even run it, let me just show you what that part is. So you can see we have ccsp2.png is what I want to be downloaded. So let me stop sharing and I will share that part so that you can see what we have over there. Yeah, so this is where I want to save it. So you can see that there's no ccsp2.png here. We only have ccsp.png, which was what I used in the previous tutorial. So we do not have ccsp2 here. So let me stop sharing and I will run the program now. So let me go to my Visual Studio and now I will run the program. Hopefully we do not have any error. So it's already running and it's done and we can see. So let me reshare. Let me share the output screen before we go and look at um the folder if anything is there. So you can see blob downloaded. So with this, I believe our blob should be ready. So now let me go and share that public and see if we have our blob there, our ccsp2. And as you can see, we have our ccsp2.png there and it works. You can see it's the same size as the original one. If I should open it, it works very well. It works very well. Yeah, I can see it in my screen. I don't know if you can. So it works very well. So I believe this video was informative. In our storage account series, we'll see in our next video we still have a little bit of labs and demo to work on and we'll see